Hello. So today I'm going to let you listen to a conversation between me and my mum that happened a few weeks ago. It's a very long one. It's about 27 minutes long, but I'm not going to go through the whole lot, but I'm going to let you listen to it, and then I'm going to comment on certain bits of it. Now, this was a conversation came about because me and my mum had this sort of, it wasn't an argument, but it's where my mum got a bit funny with me. And she went on about the past when I used to talk about being transgender and I wanted to change myself and, obviously transition from female to male. And she said, if you want to do all that stuff, you've got to leave home. So I said, oh, okay then. I just thought I quite fancied the idea of a change and moving out anyway, so. And my mum took it seriously. Like, she usually says that stuff and she bluffs because she's threatened to kick me out and told me I have to leave home with virtually every argument that we've had. And this was her saying it, like, if you want to do this, that, and the other, or act like this, or if you want your own life, or whatever, which she says passive aggressively. She often says, well, you've got to leave home if you want to do that. So I thought, why don't I call her bluff? Because I wanted to know what she would say or how she would react. Should I say, if I was to say, oh, okay then, like, agreed to move out? Because she often does it because she knows I'm too scared to move out. Like, in the past, I've been scared to. And she'll just say, if you want to do this, that, and the other, you have to move out. But she knows that I won't want to do it. So I wanted to know what would happen if I called her bluff. And this was her reaction when I said, oh, okay. So there's a few more conversations before this, but this is the main one I want to address. So the beginning of this consists of my mum telling me, well, I should get used to you not being around and start learning how to do the stuff that you do, to do it for myself now, early, before you move out. Obviously, again, she said it in a passive-aggressive way. So this is how it started, with her getting me to teach her to do her crumpets, her supper.
Right, so you want to use the side that doesn't work, which is the right side. I'm going to do it for you if you want.
Listen.
I'm going to do it for you if you want. No, you don't have to get...
See, she says, nope, I've got to get used to doing it on my own.
No, you don't.
Don't know why I argued with her. So remember, it was her idea for me to move out, and I'm just calling her bluff, and she goes insane. Doesn't matter whether you're leaving now or in a year.
I'll be on my own, and I have to deal with terrible stress to learn how to do things out. Rather than wait right till the end and then go, oh my God, rolling over what?
That's how it felt when I first had to do all this stuff.
As in when I first started having to be her carer.
I thought you would know by now because you've done it before. Well, it's not. I wasn't a qualified carer, was I? I had to. But I went from like a teenager where everything was done for me to having to suddenly do everything as a carer, which I'm not qualified for. I'm not a qualified carer, am I?
I won't miss all this moaning.
She won't miss all this moaning.
Good.
Look, you're getting your freedom now. Fucking shut up.
Nee. But with a price, of course.
Complaining.
Yes, because of a fractured relationship, right? Being all
Tough. Right now.
yes, fractured relationship, I guess.
Well, tough.
Because you're being all
Tough. Right now then, what setting does it go on?
you just push. You don't do anything. You just leave it. That's how it cooks. and then you have to wait a million years for it. But you have to keep flipping it.
Find me, I've got all the time apparently.
Keep flipping it over.
Find me, I've got all the time. Find me, I've got all the time apparently in the world.
See, the whole time, throughout the whole recording, she acts basically hurt. Like, she's really hurt that I've decided to leave home. So it sounds like she's being practical and saying, right, I've got to learn how to fend for myself now, but before you leave and all that stuff. So to most people, it sounds reasonable, like the way she's talking, but it isn't. This is her sort of acting hurt that I'm leaving, and she's really upset, and you can hear it in her voice. But
What do you mean the next couple?
So the whole time, now this is the crucial bit that I wanted to record. She's been guilt-tripping me the whole time about me leaving. That she has to do now everything on her own. Before this conversation started, I told her she can get carers. She said, I can't get carers. I can only get the type that... The only carers I can get are the kind that come in once a week or once a day. And she requires 24-hour care. I found out since then that you can get 24/7 carers or living carers or ones who do shifts. And she said, there's no way I'm having carers in. Strangers in looking after me and strangers in my house. Basically, she only wants me to do it because I'm familiar.
What do you mean the next couple of years?
I've got to do that now.
Now, you heard that next couple of years thing. You didn't hear her say it, but I was repeating it because I knew the voice recording you wouldn't be able to hear it in the voice recording. And what that was about was her mother and how she died in the next couple of years. As in 2 years on from the age my mum is right now in this voice recording. She was going, like I say, she was using every trick in the book to guilt trip me. So the first guilt trip, which isn't on this recording, was about how she wouldn't get carers and she'll just have to struggle and do everything on her own. The next guilt trip was that she was going to get in touch with her stalker, who's still stalking her to this day and has been doing for the past like 20 years or whatever. She said she was going to get in touch with him. She's been ignoring him. And she was going to get in touch with him and invite him to live here with her because at least he could take care of her. So that was guilt trip number 2. Guilt trip number 3 is what you're about to hear now, which is that her mother died at 70. 2 years older than she is now. And she only died at 70, apparently according to my mum, because she had to do everything herself with the same problems as my mum for the 2 years before she died, and that's what killed her, apparently, even though that's bullshit. First of all, she had granddad to take care of her, and she was in bed. She was bedridden for the last 2 years of her life, and the only reason why she died was because the hospital staff killed her. So it's bullshit.
What do you mean the next couple of years?
My mum died at 70.
Oh, here we go. She's going to die because I'm leaving.
Fact of life, yeah, right.
So you're saying that if I stayed, you probably would live longer? Oh, here we go. She's going to die now because I'm leaving. Oh, here we go. Oh, here we go. She's going to die now because I'm leaving.
And she says, oh, no.
Leave then. I'll just stay.
See, that's what she wants. I shouldn't have said that because that's what she wants. She's using every trick in the book. Actually, no, I'm lying. The first guilt trip thing that she used was not a guilt trip, but it was like a tactic that she was using to scare me into staying. And that was, what are you going to do for money? Because when you stop being my carer, you'll have to ring up the DWP and tell them to stop giving you carer's allowance because you're no longer my carer. So what are you going to do for money then? And I knocked that, because she's used that tactic for years. Every time I've wanted to like have my own life or leave or stop being her carer, she uses that, well, you won't get carer's allowance anymore, then what will you do? And I failed to remind her that actually if I stop getting carer's allowance, it means that there'll be less money coming to the house and less money for your cigarettes and groceries and bird crap that she buys off the pet food delivery man person, bird food for the wild birds, because she feeds the wild birds, and she spends an awful lot of money on wild bird seed and monkey nuts for the squirrels and regular nuts for the birds and pellets It's like suet pellets and suet this and suet that. She buys like a very wide variety of different bird foods, including berry this and suet that. So she spends a lot of the money that we get on that, cigarettes and groceries, of course. And she also buys things for herself in the meantime as well, or really expensive things that we don't really need, but that she thinks we need. So I should remind her next time she says that about they'll stop your carer's allowance, is that you do realise that there'll be less money for you as well if you get me to stop getting carer's allowance. However, if I move out, of course, that wouldn't be an issue. I told her that I could get money a different way, and also I could get a job, so it wouldn't be an issue for me. So she didn't have that tactic anymore. So she's used like a million different tactics since then, which was where you're going to live because you've got nowhere to go. So I told her I had a place sorted out. So she said, all right, so you're all right for money. You're all right for a place to live. And then it was like, she was trying to use every other trick in the book after that. And this one was the final one, I think.
I don't think you're listening very much here. She just spoke about you again. You and guilt. You don't want... You just like every fucker in the world. You don't want... You just like every fucker in the fucker in...
Do it for you if you want.
Oh God, it's gone back. Sorry about this, it does this. It's gone way back as well. You have to try and find the part.
Now or in a year's time, or in August.
I felt when I first had to do
Like, we're way beyond this bit.
That is us having a fractured relationship. Get down. You don't do anything, and then you have to wait a million years. What do you mean the next couple? What do you mean the next?
Do you know what? I'm going to do a part 2. It's a shame I can't pause the recording while I try and find the part I was up to, but I can't do it. I can do it with my other phone, but I can't do it with this one. So I'm going to stop it and make a part 2.